FC6 on AI capability for 125,000. Would anyone like to make that motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Alderman Savage?
Well, unless the sponsor wants to talk.
Sorry?
Unless the sponsor wants to talk first.
You asking who wants to speak first? You raised your hand first. I was looking to you.
Yeah. So I have some concerns with this. I do support, unlike my colleague in Ward 5 down there, I do support using AI. And I think this could potentially be very useful. But I think I need more of a description from staff on this. Because I'm just wondering if we need to put together more of a proposal first, but maybe there are details from the director that'll help address some of my concerns as far as have you identified some, or at least you have something in mind as far as specific software AI you could use for the planning? Like how exactly would you use for the planning to help enhance that? I guess is my first question. And related to that would be, can we use our existing AI system in the enterprise?
I believe we can use our existing enterprise system in coordination with the IT department. But this is going to take some thought and design and management and training at the staff level. The first point of entree for us is to resolve a recurring problem with our permitting system. That is, we find ourselves reviewing applications that are incomplete. So the applicant's first interaction with us is essentially rejection. And it takes time to get to that point. What we need to do is streamline how we determine if applications are complete or not. AI can do that instantaneously. And I've seen a demonstration of this. In a moment of several seconds, can do what it takes our staff and applicants, architects, engineers, a month to do. So we want to build the system. We want to train our own AI system to help the residents of Annapolis. That's the foundational thing, and that's the first step. And in fact, if we were able to pull together funds at this later part of this budget cycle, we would be doing that right now, but we can't. So that's going to be the first phase. Later, we need to deal with the minor site design process. Of all of our performance measures, that's the one that's falling below our benchmark. And we think that we can use AI to facilitate quicker review of minor site designs. And these are typically the commercial site designs, small commercial, small businesses. And so that's the second part. But overall, over the course of the year, I really want our department to focus on using AI to do predictive analytics and city design and planning so that we can look at a site on Forest Drive, for instance, see what is the best alternative in terms of the city's goals and initiatives. We can design that really quickly with AI. We don't need to hire an outside consulting firm or architects to do design. Now, that's something we need to build our capabilities up. But most of this is for not software, but it's for building our capabilities internally at a staff and management level to equip ourselves for AI. And I really think this is a game changer for us. And it really helps us sustain the improvements we've made so far and take it to the next level.
Good answer. Thank you.
Sure.
Further discussion, Alderman Thorpe.
Mr. Scooby, I want to add another great element to this. I have heard from a lot of residents that they can't afford the assistance they need to figure out the code. And that's not criticism of the code. It's just hard to do this. So you take these folks who don't have the financial resources, and somebody could sit with them for a little bit and put their application into this and get immediate feedback for no cost. I just think is a game changer. Speaking from Eastport, I've probably spoken to 10 people who have felt that the system was designed against them. And in some cases, they were people of, most cases, they're people of color who believe the system's not designed to support them. This, I've bounced this off of these people, and they're they can't believe you're going to do this. This is really a wonderful addition to be able to level the playing field in the application process. So I applaud you for this initiative.
Thank you.
Further discussion, Alderman Smith-Brown, then Alderman Schandelmeyer.
Thank you. So I was going to ask about there being just similar to our city manager's office. Is there going to be a policy in place for AI use? If not already, have you all began to look into that?
Yes, it's the same city policy. We adhere to the city's policy. It's coming out of IT now. Brian just said, I think you ought to join our work group on this city policy. So we think that's important to have in place. We're very secure about our information and data because we do have people's names and address and the assessed value of their projects and things like that. We like to keep internal to us.
City Manager.
I just want to add one comment to the director's piece here. One, I think for this piece, we will need more than a policy. We will need kind of an AI governance model because you're dealing with people who there could potentially be bias that we don't know about that might already be built into the system or may be created over time. And so I would also say, in addition to that, we have to have a quality assurance process where we can kind of spot check and make sure that we don't have any undue bias.
All right, ready for vote? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay. I believe the motion carries. All right. I'd like to just pause by and ask everyone to look at the key and summary tab for one-time uses. So I'm looking at row 21. From the pay-fors less what we've just approved so far, we have 115,000 left. So just wanted to have everyone do that check-in. So
I would just remind us that
Don't
not
spend it.
spending it is also an option
Yes.
as we go through this process.
all right,
Can
Alderman Huntley, yes?
can we get a piece of information? Actually, never mind. I'm just going to walk down.
Okay. Alderman Savage, are you still raising S6?
Yes, I move S6.
Second. Okay. Would you like to discuss it?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I asked for my colleagues to somewhat indulge me on this again. I think this is, might be the second or can't remember if it's the third year this has been a placeholder. But it's still intended as one-time use. It's just it hasn't been spent. But so really this boils down to it's an environmental equity as well as a housing issue. Environmentally, we have one particular community, Carrs Beach Road community, that has a couple of failing septic systems, and ultimately we do want to get them hooked up to public sewer. Obviously, it'd be ideal to do that if we can get them annexed so that they do build our tax base. It also gives us the ability to address, obviously, the housing crisis. This is, I think, I do have some questions for did we lose the planning director? Darn. But this is in our comp plan as far as supporting these annexations. And again, if we're really serious about the housing goal, I think we need to look at annexing properties and taking a look at how and if we want to modify the zoning to best accomplish that housing goal. It just so happens that Ward 7 is on the kind of the edge of the city, has a number of these opportunities. But before I get to that, equity issue is, this particular community in Carrs Beach is one that it's surrounded by city property, but it's in the county. It was carved out. They're a lower income community. I'll let you guess at why they were excluded. But I think we need to correct that. And the residents, this is their right to request it, but it's different than your typical annexation because it's the residents, it's not coming from a developer. And so because of that, I wanted to set up this support fund for people to help lower income residents hook up to the sewer when it comes time, but also to help cover some of the community costs because it's a very onerous process and it's a lot of engineering studies, and this would help also pay for that, because again, it meets a lot of our goals. So like I said, Ward 7 has that Cars Road community. There's also the annexation work through the process at the CNC Liquor, although I don't think they would be a good candidate for this money, but we also have some other annexation opportunities on that corridor. So that's my pitch. I think it's a good use of money.
Huntley?
Alderman Savage, I'd be willing to support this if you're willing to knock it down to $90,000, which would leave us enough money to buy one more variable message board. They cost about $25,000 each. That's the next thing on our list. We wouldn't be able to get all four that I think we need, but it would leave us with enough to buy one. So happy to sign on if you're willing to knock it down to 90.
Alderman Thorpe?
Can you tell us how many residents we're talking about? Are we talking about 250?
No, I think it's roughly, gosh, it's a good question. Roughly, it might be like, I don't know, 10 to 15 current residents. But there are a number of lots there that are currently not buildable because they don't perk. That's one reason why the septics are failing. And so there would be more houses built than are currently there, even if we annex with the existing zoning. So I think if it was kind of maxed out per the existing zoning, again, this is all ballpark, I think it might be 25 lots or so.
I think this sounds a lot like some of the other things we're talking about do we want the rules set in conjunction with moving forward with this? Because I would not be a big fan of subsidizing somebody building an $800,000 house and annexing it. I would be a fan of helping somebody who lives there currently and needs the hand up. So perhaps either we need to set the rules or one rule might be existing homes that we would restrict this support for. Something like that. And as I say that, it almost doesn't sound right. I would like to see the development of some more rules as to how this fund would be used, rather than just the city council voting for $90,000 or $100,000 for this purpose, but we don't really know what it is.
I would point out that while I'm empathetic to the concern, we're talking about giving money to not city residents. And I think that's a dangerous precedent to start spending. These are county residents that we're talking about, which doesn't make them bad people, but just means they're not city residents. That's dangerous. A program like what you're referring to, Alderman Thorpe, would also be really difficult to achieve the goal that you're expressing, because someone could have an existing house, get annexed, and then sell it, 4 lots sold for a big McMansion type thing. So to me, that's also a concern. As I'm looking at the short list, with the reminder that we have $115,000 that we have available to spend, I also was viewing the variable message boards favorably, and would like to get at least a couple of those, because they help all city residents in how they're used. We saw them frequently being used for recent events, and we need more of them. So I was prepared to vote this down and support the full 100 for variable message boards, but that's where I'm at with those two. Alderman Schedemeyer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I don't see this as giving money to county residents. I see this as laying infrastructure for a parcel of land that we are incorporating into the city. And if we are able to do that, we'll be able to adjust our zoning code around this so that it is a worthwhile investment, so that we can actually get in some missing middle housing. Because if we were to do this and make sense, we would need to do some slight upzoning around that. I'm not talking giant towers here. I'm talking like row homes or duplexes or something. But By taking this investment, we can, one, fill in a hole in the city's infrastructure because this parcel that we're looking to annex is literally surrounded by city land, and two, take some pressure off of the housing housing crisis by adding in some small-scale developed homes.
I think before proceeding to Alderman Thorpe's point and to have this work, there's a lot more rules that would need to be implemented. So either giving, we don't have planning and zoning director here. I don't know if city attorney has any views on this, on how you would be able to implement it if you need more guidance from the council.
Yes, I mean, I think it depends on how far you want to go, and you guys have raised the relevant concerns about if you just provide the money to somebody to connect and then they turn around and sell the property, you'd have to look at ways to limit their ability to use the funds and or restrictive covenants maybe on the property as a part of applying and obtaining the funds. The cost of the annexation itself, you could look at the city just bearing those costs, which I'm not recommending, but there's probably an application fee that's quite hefty to do an annexation, and if the city is the applicant, that might change things. But those are all things that you could look at. But yeah, I think you would have extensive rules to manage the use of the money, and if you were trying to avoid those outcomes that were discussed.
Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm happy to clearly establish intent if that helps create the rules. But again, as it was originally envisioned, it started off as just supporting those of lower means who are going to need the assistance to actually hook up to our sewers. Those at that point, they would be city residents, right? And again, they're people who don't have the means, as this is a poor part of the ward and of the city. And so again, I think it's a necessary, I view it as a necessary, if we want to help address the environmental issues, if we want to help address the housing issues, this is a necessary step. And I totally do want to make sure it only is going toward those who need it and not the developers. The other thing that it evolved into is that we realized, again, the petitioners are the homeowners. It's a mix of people, a mix of incomes. They've incurred a lot of expenses to get to this point because they do have to do a lot of the engineering studies, and they can potentially make some of that back if we allow some more of the duplexes, to my colleague's point, which I would be supportive of. But I guess my point is, if that proves to be difficult because the zoning action designations, there's still a lot to be determined, then it would be nice to be able to have this to support the effort to help pay for some of those studies that we require. Because I am learning, not just with the annexation, but with road annexation, it is a very burdensome process. I have a couple of streets that are very short, only a few residents, and they have to do an insane amount of studying and coordination per the code. That comes from state code, I think, that we've adopted. And so, because again, the intent was for these big developers to do it because they have the money. So anyway, I think I've said enough, but that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Alderman Savage, it sounds like you're wanting this specifically for Cars Road. I think it might be beneficial if we were going to support it to have it specifically stated that's for Cars Road. So whether it's Route 2 and potential, all these other potentials, that's not, I don't think that's your intent. Secondly, I know when we had this previous discussion, Assistant City Attorney Leonard pointed out that there was a lot of unknown from a previous effort to do this, whether the funds could go directly to the petitioners or are they going directly to the law firms and engineers, the professionals involved. Is it meant to cover the city's costs? Because the city takes on a huge amount of cost to consider an annexation, which I think would make us all a little bit more comfortable if the city was going to consider the annexation. At least we'd have some money to go towards planning and zoning efforts and all the manpower it takes to go towards it. I'd be a lot more comfortable with having that money go towards the city's expense in an application.
Thanks.
Yeah, please.
So, yeah, I hear you as far as city expense, but the thing with annexation, I wish plan director was here, there are a lot of different ways to pay for potential growth and development. So we could look towards putting down a TIF, a tax incremental financing district. We could look to putting I think it's like a front-end assessment on some of the properties, especially the properties that are going to be redeveloped. So make the redeveloped properties pay more as opposed to the existing property owners who we want to assist. I'm probably blanking because I'm so tired, but there are other ways, I think, to pay for it down the road. So my intention for now is to help support the property owners, but I'd be happy to have a conversation down the road.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
If we come up with a number, maybe it's reduced, so we have some amount for the
Sounds good.
boards.
Yeah.
But then this needs a lot more fleshing out before any money is spent. So either the council gives the city manager autonomy to come up with the rules and run it with it, or the city council takes this on as a resolution that's fully thought through with Director Jakubiak and Ms. Leonard or city attorney. I don't want to get into a tussle again of the money was supposed to go towards this, not this, and that's going to happen if we disapprove it the way it is.
Fine with either one.
Okay.
And can I make a motion to reduce to, what'd you say, 90,000?
The mayor proposes making it 65,000, if you would be amenable to that, Alderman Savage.
Just for a point of conversation,
Let's go. I think Alderwoman Janet, also Johnson.
Love to join him
Okay.
with
As
the,
a-
some of my locations.
Well, that, again, it's going to undermines, I think his point is that this is specifically for the
For the
Cars,
sewage.
Cars Road.
Yeah, I like that idea too, just to keep it to Cars Road. If others pop up, we can revisit. but-
This is not going to be enough money for more than one annexation.
Okay, then.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be enough for one, let alone
Okay.
for multiple.
All right.
So just,
No
If I could make your suggestion part of my motion,
okay. And then do
restrict
you
it.
want to leave this in administration's control of developing rules, or do you want the council to come back to the resolution to give some guidance of how you want the money to go towards?
I think, well, I guess we would like to hear from the administration. I'm happy to provide more guidance in a resolution.
I know City Attorney, Acting City Attorney Leonard will have a lot of feelings about this. So again, I think if you want to leave it in administration's hands, I'm confident that Director Jakubiak and Ms. Leonard will come up with.
It's fine with me, yeah.
Okay. So you want to modify it to $65,000 and just for Cars, not Cars Beach, but Cars Road? Alderman Thorpe?
as a point of conversation, I think the choice we have here is to use money to help a couple county residents become city residents, or put 4 signs up that will fill a gap that is tremendous citywide on citizens, residents thinking that they need to be better informed. And that would be a tough decision if both were well-baked. But what I would propose perhaps is this path that you two have outlined, while not putting any funds to it, but come to the city council in 6 months or whenever it's baked with a fully baked program that we're actually voting to put money for something that we understand what it is, rather than voting money that I personally don't know what it's for.
And for $65,000, I would think that's a mid-year, a resolution that could be funded mid-year. Alderman Savage?
Well, I mean,
Sorry, I'm sorry, ignoring this side. Let me come back to you.
I would rather go with 90 just because I hear you on wanting more message boards, but I really want to make sure we don't miss out on an opportunity to address some of the housing issues as well as environmental for a message board.
Okay, we already heard from the three of us multiple times, so let's hear from this side.
I would like to say that I'm a little bit frustrated at the way we have done the process. The fact that when we went back to operating funds and moved 6, 7 possible amendments that we voted down, because in the past, we've been able to talk about different amendments, and now we're getting to the end of some things that are kind of important, and we're basically having to say, no, we can't do them, because we already voted down in a group and never had an opportunity to talk about them. So I'm just saying that that part of this new process is frustrating, that we're at this point in time and we're arguing over basically $45,000 when, had we gone through some of those amendments one by one, we might have some more one-time funds that would be available to us. I just wanted to say that.
Huntley?
Did I ask someone to say?
I thought you just read.
I think I'll skip it.
So I guess we are at the point of voting on S6, or I don't know that a motion has actually been made for on S6, has it? Yes. Okay, we do have a motion. All right, so S6A, there's a bit of motion to reduce the funding to $90,000, make it specific to Cars Road, and with the program outline to be delineated by the city manager's office. Okay.
Second.
All those, any further, I don't think there's any further discussion on that. All those in favor of S6A as amended, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, say no.
No.
No. Okay, it sounds like the ayes have it. And that takes us to H9.
I'd like to move H9, and I'd like to amend it. Well, I guess I need a second on that. I'd like to move
Second.
H9. Thank you. I'd like to amend H9 to be $25,000, which will get us at least one VMS board. I think if we put it out to bid, maybe our procurement folks can get us cheaper than $25,000, but $25,000 should get us at least one. They're so expensive, you wouldn't think.
Okay, since that was an amendment, we need a second on the amendment.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in support of H9A, variable message board for $25,000, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Do you want me to have a vote on the underline? All right, and that takes us to a pot of money of $550 for under one time. Alderman Savage, are you withdrawing S22, 31, and 32?
No.
Okay.
I'm withdrawing S32,
Okay.
but I would like to move S22.
Attorney wants to be heard.
I'd just like to make one more point about the annexation. So as we left it with the administration having the authority to move ahead with rules, just to be clear, this is a situation where you could have, of course, the possibility that no annexation could be feasible or could proceed, because the way that the rules work under state law, you have to have a certain amount of residents that actually, will want to come in and be annexed as a part of this. And so I'm just letting you know, it's possible that it may not prove to be feasible, and to address the possibility that the funding may not actually be usable if it can't proceed in a certain way. That's not to say you couldn't set up rules still to create the possibility, but there are steps that have to be taken. We couldn't just unilaterally annex the area. Yep.
If I may,
Alderman Savage.
so to give you a little quick background is the petition is pretty much ready. They just had to they've been chatting with staff, working on a final report, an additional report. They've also gotten almost getting one of the final easements with the nearby community. So this petition is most likely going to get submitted again. So yeah, in that sense, I'm fairly certain it's going to.
Okay, I'd further note, there are just a number of steps there, including an annexation plan, annexation agreement that
Yes.
addresses taxes, things like that. There are a lot of elements that happen, and I just wanted to make the point that there are legal steps that could impede actually achieving it within any certain period of time.
I understand, and they've worked with staff on the process and requirements. It's all good, yeah.
Alderman Savage, I want to clarify, did you say you're withdrawing S32 or S22?
Third,
32, you said? Okay. So you're offering S22?
yes,
Okay. Do you want to make that motion?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Anyone want to speak in favor? Savage?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, so, we do have plaques for mayor, we have for women, alder women, we have for African-American, and I just thought it'd be nice to have something honoring just all the past alder persons. I know we're at the one-time use limit. Well, it's not a limit, it's our official cap. We still can use more one-time use, and it's not a lot of money.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no.
No.
No. Okay. Thank you. I wasn't sure what that was. Okay, motion does not carry. And S31, is that something you're still pushing? Is
Yes, I'll move S31.
there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yes, so this is, again, just one-time use. The proposed budget does reduce the program's funding by $50,000 from last year. At the same time, though, new applicants to the program have nearly doubled from 50 to 96 this year. And so I just thought it'd be good to increase the funding in this to help potentially meet that increased demand.
Else speaking in support? Okay. I'll take a vote on S31. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. No.
Oh.
Roll call, please. I didn't hear enough votes to carry that. No.
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Alderwoman Ossoff Johnson? Nay.
Painfully, no.
I'm sorry?
No, we're broke.
Alderwoman Conti?
Aye.
Aye.
Alderman Thorpe?
No.
Alderman?
Motion does not carry. Okay, that gets us through the one-time fund amendments with $550 left. Alderman Thorpe, do you want to make a motion?
I have a motion to move that to contingency.
All right, is there a second? I don't know that.
Wait, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
City manager, what happens if, what the remote, do we need this motion or not?
It would just simply stay in the one-time fund balance
Next year.
for next year.
Okay, thank you. No motion.
Withdraw the amendment.
All right. All right, we're making progress. We are on community grants amendment. Right. That's what I have. So there was a committee recommendation list that we have. There was Finance Committee made some tweaks to that with a small additional amount of money, which we already approved. And I have a few minor tweaks to it that I could talk through. Since we haven't had this like a typical motion, I'm not sure of the best way to present this. I would like to talk through my minor tweaks to the Finance Committee recommendation, if you all will bear with me. Okay. So looking at the Community Grants Amendment, and if you look at the Finance Committee recommendation, I just want to talk through a couple tweaks. Rows 12 and 13 are both for Heritage Baptist Church. We had previously granted the Backpack Buddies $5,000 last year, and we had not put any money towards the community gardens. I had a conversation with Pastor Shelton, and he requested that we keep the Backpack Buddies at 5,000 in order to move 2,000 to Community Garden. So still goes to the same entity, still supports Backpack Buddies to the same amount as last year, but it moves $2,000 to the Community Garden. So I look for,
But that's us funding 3 different things that they doing at the
I
same.
can't hear you.
That's us funding 3 different things at the same church.
I wasn't adding or subtracting the money at least. It was just moving between their different applications. So open to discussion. It's obviously not, none of these are life or death. Well, they're not, well, anyway, let me just describe them all. Row 26, Chesapeake Children's Museum. They'd gotten $2,000 this year. I propose keeping them at $2,000 and putting aside the $8,000 for a moment. You'll see where I come to. 39, same thing. They got $5,000 last year. I propose keeping them at $5,000 with, again, parking another $2,000. So we have $10,000 parked. Line 48, Blessed Tech Ministries. They do a lot of work for the city, especially during the winter, in supporting Department of Rec at the, when the homeless are coming into our city's shelters. They're the ones who are actually running those programs. They got $8,000 last year. I propose restoring that $8,000 this year. And lastly, line 78, Kunta Kinte Celebrations got $5,000 this year. They applied for $25,000. I have the remaining $2,000 going towards Kunta Kinte.
They got funds.
Alderwoman.
They got funds on 88 too.
I'm sorry,
They got funded on 88 too.
line 88 as well. Thank you, I missed that. Okay. Alderman Schneidermeyer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All these grants have gone through careful selection and review by the Finance Committee, by the Mayor's office. Is it possible for us to all just move this as a block and speed it up? Because I think this is a lot of hard choices, but a lot of wise choices made.
It is absolutely a
by
choice.
both your office and the committee.
Yep, reasonable choice. Alderwoman O'Neill?
Thank you. 2 quick things. One, Blessed Tech Ministries is funded for the Warming Center through Office of Emergency Management through a different line item,
Thank you.
just so you know.
Thank you.
Yes, they do good work, but they also do similar work to a couple of other organizations.
Okay.
And the Tennis Alliance is the only sports organization offering, I believe, free tennis to children, and increasing that was going to increase the number of children who would have the opportunity to learn how to play tennis. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'll revise my suggestions to just line 12 and 13, keeping the same amount of money with Heritage Baptist, taking $2,000 from Backpack Buddies and put it towards the community gardens. But again, if you wanted, for simplicity, just to go with where the Finance Committee has landed, I think that's a reasonable choice as well.
I would like to go where the Finance Committee has landed. I think Backpack Buddies does some fantastic work, not that Community Gardens isn't also a wonderful cause.
He giving them. He sending some to them too. That to the.
Well, I just think for simplicity's sake and the fact that, again, the Finance Committee and the Mayor's Office has in detail reviewed these grants, let's just move them as a block. So that is my motion.
Thank you, that's what I was about to ask. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion, Alderman Savage?
Just to again point out that the delta, we've done this before in the past, but just the delta between what's proposed by Finance and the Mayor's Office could very, very easily be made up with just a little bit of one-time use money. Again, it's not a hard cap on the one-time use, and I think it would go a long way to just maintaining some cohesion on the council.
Alderwoman?
I know in the beginning, Office of Community Service said that they did not. They said that they didn't want to fund positions. So Wally H. Bates and the Pride, they both want positions to be funded, not for programming. This is a community grant. So if we saying that we weren't going to do it, why are we making exceptions for them? And $25,000 is a lot. And it's 2 other organizations that didn't receive anything, and they're actually organizations that do work in the communities, which would be GVO and Superior Futures.
So are you, do you have a specific recommendation for what you're proposing?
This was actually a mistake, the 10,000 finance under Wiley H. Bates, because we were told by community, I'm sorry that I spoke out of line.
That's okay. So
We were told by community services that they weren't eligible because of their standing with the state.
GVO?
No, she's talking about Wiley H. Bates.
Wiley H. Bates. So this is a mistake on here. That should be 0
Can we
under
refer to what line you're talking about?
81.
So line 81, row 81. Should be
0.
in column G,
F and G.
F, A, and G. What you said, both columns. And is there an allocation of 10,000 to somewhere else, or did we just have the reduced amount?
I got 29 and 38 would be my suggestions.
Can't hear you.
29 and 38 would be my suggestions.
So can I weigh in on, so GVO is not actually a nonprofit, so it's not eligible to receive a community grant. What they did this year is Superior Future acted as their fiscal agent, so Superior, so the
So they're
grant actually
together.
goes to them.
Okay.
And then they can partner with who they want. In this case, they partner with GVO, but we can't actually give a grant directly to them.
Okay, so I would say for,
Pick up, Alderwoman.
38 then.
Okay, and how much are you proposing go into that?
The 10,000 that was gonna go to Wiley H., I would propose to them.
Okay, so to take that as an amendment to Alderman Chandelmeyer's amendment, that sounds like it's being seconded.
It's seconded, and also for clarification, the Alderwoman also brought up something about Annapolis Pride and funding for a position for $25,000. And if that is true, would that also loosen up any funds, or are we looking to reduce that amount if it's not going to be toward a salary?
I think we should hear more about that
Yeah, that's-
grant, whether it's for staff positions or
Right.
something different.
If that's true, yes.
Can the office speak to that?
I'll need to examine that and get back to you. I don't know if you know any of those details, but otherwise I'll see what I can find.
It was my understanding that the Annapolis Pride application suggested that they were looking into a development position in order to increase their fundraising efforts and their bottom line so that they could then not be reliant on city grants. In talking with that organization, they would look towards having this grant and a matching grant from the county that would fully fund, and that we could do write-in rules at a later time about future funding.
Your take that the $25,000 is inconsistent with the rules that we've set up?
Their position, if they were to hire that position, they would be looking for the 50,000. The 25 would get them to a point where they could be self-sufficient.
So if we give them the $25,000 this year, we would expect not to have an ask next year.
Correct.
That is just globally desirous that we have organizations not get used to getting money year in, year out. And that was the basis of where we started, I think. City manager?
Just looking at the application, the project budget is a staff person, and it looks like it's part of the executive director's salary.
Should we be supporting that, Mayor? Should we be supporting that?
So I think what I'm hearing is that it was a self-imposed rule. It's not a rule, like, it's not a code against doing that. So when you say we should, it's
That's
a
okay, that's
judgment on
perfect,
what you
personal
want to do,
preference.
not whether you should.
Well, this is a community grant.
That was Office of Community Services.
I'm sorry?
That was Office of Community Services recommendations to not do that.
Do not do that. So
Yes.
did they, what line was they? They were there.
That's line
Oh, I see.
21.
So E, that's why E is blank, but then F put them in. So E being the committee. And
Yeah,
so-
with the, oh, excuse me.
No, so the Finance Committee added it back in, or added it after it was not, didn't make it out with any money. Alderman?
Yeah, with that being the case, if we do decide to do anything differently with that, would we be able to, I think you made the amendment for the Chesapeake Children's Museum, and also maybe fully funding the $15,000 for Superior Future if possible. And then for a longer term question, Mayor, do we ever intend to possibly give organizations that we find to be sufficient in their works, et cetera, any sorts of money longer term, even if it is smaller amounts? That's just a question thrown out for future reference.
It's the whole purpose of of having the committee recommendations and then committee, because we'll all have our preferences. I haven't looked through all the applications. And so this is where I think we're getting into dangerous waters, where just taking the Finance Committee's recommendations as they have seen the applications and have the committee review, I think is pretty safe grounds. And so this is, yeah, and so my recommendation is, despite me having preferences, I would just recommend that we just go with the Finance Committee recommendations this year. And if you have thoughts about how we should or shouldn't be funding it, give that direction for next year.
Marvelous, thank you.
Okay. So I think we started with Alderman Chandelmeyer's motion to accept the Finance Committee's recommendations. I think we were starting to come up with an alternative motion from Alderwoman Conti. I don't recall what your exact motion was now, so if you want to just restate it.
No,
Can you speak up, please?
she put the 10,000 for Superior Futures from where you took it from.
I'm sorry, so it's just talking about the 10,000?
Yes.
Okay, so removing the 10,000 from the Wiley H. Bates, one of those lines, because they're getting money elsewhere, right? Okay, and putting that $10,000 towards Superior Futures? Okay, that's the motion. That was what seconded?
Yeah, my second, and then I mentioned if we could for an additional motion to that, was increasing that to the 15,000, which was their ask, since we can't fund GVO directly, as well as looking into the 25,000 from Annapolis Pride, saying that was for an executive director role.
That's a different amendment. Let me take Alderwoman Conti's amendment first. So Alderwoman Conti's amendment is to take $10,000 from Wiley H. Bates, and again, that was row 81, and putting that towards line 38, Superior Future.
Mayor Lippman,
Is there a second on that motion?
just
Okay.
so that we can update real time, we should be taking the Finance Committee's recommendation as our starting point.
Yes.
And then the only change right now is the $10,000.
Yes.
From Wiley to.
To Superior Futures, correct. Okay, so we have Alderwoman Conti's. I still don't know if we have a second for that.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that shift of the 10,000? Alderman Schendelmeyer?
We are again getting into some really dangerous waters going against the committee that in detail reviewed these amendments and knows what they're talking about and knows their recommendations. It's not that any of these causes are not noble. It's not that any of these causes are unworthy, but when we start playing our individual favorites here and there, we start getting into some really dangerous waters. We got a really good starting point here. Let's just go with it.
For the Wiley Bates, can you explain, are they anywhere else, or we're taking away the only 10,000 that they were on here for? I don't see them anywhere else.
They're ineligible to receive it because they're not in good standing with the state. That was a mistake.
They are now in good standing. If you go on SSTAT right now, they show as good standing.
At the time that we made our decision 4 weeks ago, they were not in good standing.
Okay. We have a motion to move the 10,000 from Wiley H. Bates to Superior Futures. It's been seconded. What's the vote? Let's take a vote on that. All those in favor, Alderwoman Conti, we're taking your motion, we're voting on your motion now. All those in favor of Alderwoman Conti's motion to amend by moving 10,000 from Wiley H. Bates to Superior Futures, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. No. I think we might need a roll call, please. No?
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Aye.
Alderwoman Alsop Johnson?
Aye.
Nay.
Alderwoman Conti?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
No.
Alderman Thorpe?
Aye.
Alderman Huntley?
Voting no is to give the money to Wiley H. Bates,
Yes.
correct? I want to vote no.
So Alderwoman Conti's motion passes.
Mayor Lippman.
Yeah.
Matt, was someone else about to speak?
We can take another either discussion on Alderman Schandelmeyer's motion for Finance Committee as amended by Alderwoman Conti's, or we can entertain another motion now.
Yes, the other motion. So I do believe, I do not feel comfortable ever taking money away from an historic legacy center. And I believe now hearing from our managerial staff that they are now in good standing, and seeing that 25,000 that we just discussed with Pride is for an executive role, then maybe we either refill that from, I know it's kind of going backwards, but refilling the 10,000 from that 25,000, because come on, we do support our people, Pride. So maybe having it be 15,000, since the Community Grants Office has recommended we not fully fund staff positions, and then we can also still support the Bates Legacy Center as well.
Okay, so just want to clean that up if I can. Your motion is to move 10,000 from row 21, Annapolis Pride, and put it back to line 81 for the Wiley H. Bates Legacy Center. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Alderman Schandelmeyer?
This is absolute nonsense. This shuffling around, picking and choosing that we have done. Annapolis Pride has been a fantastic organization, a partner with the city, and for all the talk of, I don't like to gut funding from a historic legacy center, you voted to do it. You made the second motion to do it. This is absolute nonsensical thing that we are doing. We're going against the recommendations from the people that know this budget and committee grant process tooth and nail. I am livid. And part of that's that we're still doing this at 10:30 at night, but also part of that is that we have gone against a common sense practice and process that we've historically done. I am urging my colleagues to vote no on this.
If I may, because that was,
If you wanted to protect it, you could have voted no on the last one.
Alderman Savage?
So the open, I have a comment, but can I get clarity on what the open motion is on the floor?
Motion is to move $10,000 from Annapolis Pride, row 21, to move it to line 81 for the Wiley H. Bates Legacy Center.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to vote no because I want to see that 10,000 gets to Bates, but again, people, we have a ton of one-time use money left. If we take 10,000 out of the pot, it is nothing. We are not limited. Again, we could be taking hundreds of thousands out of the one-time use with no impact. We've done it before. 10,000 is nothing. Let's just vote this down, get a motion to add 10,000 from one-time use to Wiley Bates. Problem solved. Everybody's happy. Let's go home. Again, that is no budget impact. We could even ask staff of $10,000 out of one-time use. It's not an issue. So let's just do it. Be happy, go home.
Anyone else? Alderman Smith Brown?
Sure. So I actually originally had said for us not to have to take the money from Wiley H. Bates, it was the point of them not being in good standing that led to us saying that that made the most sense at the time, and then we received the update about them being in good standing, which obviously altered the decision there. I also brought up, as was mentioned prior to by a different older person, that the money was encouraged not to go towards funding staff positions from the actual office that deals with grants. And so that's why we discussed possibly reducing that amount. Really, if that's the intention and also the encouragement, we shouldn't fund any positions that are going to be staff positions, because then we're inconsistent and also not being fair to other organizations who may be looking to fund staff positions.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor of Alderman Smith Brown's motion, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No.
No.
I think we need a roll call again, please. Aye.
Alderman O'Neill,
Aye.
Alderman Smith Brown,
Aye.
Alderman Alsop Johnson,
Yeah, I want to go back to them. Yes.
Alderman Schneidermeyer,
No.
Alderman Conti,
Yes.
Alderman Savage,
No.
Alderman Thorpe,
Aye.
Alderman Huntley.
No.
Okay, any further discussion or amendments? Are we ready to vote on Alderman Schneidermeyer's? Director, you want-
Can we just clarify that that was 10,000 from Pride to William Bates?
yes. Okay. Yes. Alderman Savage?
I'd like to make a motion to take 10,000 from the one-time use and send it to Wiley Bates.
Is there a second? Well, we already put 10,000 back in Wiley Beach.
No, I'm sorry, to Pride. Apologies.
Is there a second?
Second to putting that back into Pride
As a source of one-time use, money is the amendment.
as a source of one-time use money.
Okay, so is that a second?
Yep, that is my second.
Director?
There's only $550 of one-time use money available.
That is,
That's my understanding as well from the chart. All right, further discussion? Alderman Savage?
that's not accurate. We have a lot of unassigned funds left. We can take that because it's all an estimate anyway. We always over budget. It is not going to hurt anything if we take $10,000 out of that. $10,000 extra.
Ask you to repeat that. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
You didn't hear Alderman Savage, or you didn't hear the director?
Alderman Savage.
I said the $10,000, to say we have no one-time use is not accurate. I can show you the data. We're only allocating 30% of it. Last year, we did up to 60. We have tons of money in the unallocated balance, so if this is not going to hurt anything if we just take $10,000 out of it. It's not. It's all an estimate anyway, as far as what's remaining out of that. Again, it's a non-issue.
See a lot of head shaking from city manager and finance director. Would either of you like to explain the difference in understanding between what our finance director and our city manager's view on this is compared to our alderman?
As indicated through the Finance Committee working session and a couple of different independent meetings, the amount of one-time use funds that were available for appropriation at this time, and I don't have the number exactly in front of me, it was about $1,800,000, and we appropriated that full balance. And so we are now in the process of identifying pay-fors out of that balance and then reapplying them. The number that Alderman Savage is referencing is utilizing projected fiscal year 26 excess reserves that have moved through the waterfall. That number is not appropriatable based on what we've done historically. There's a belief that we use existing fund or projected fund balance, but if you look back in prior years, there's actually just been excess cash balances based on the prior year ACFR. And so the 1 year lag informs the amount of cash available for appropriation. And so moving into this year, the full amount has been appropriated and We have now identified through the process the pay-fors from the one-time uses and then appropriated against them. So going into an additional one-time use just on the assumption that the excess reserves will be there would be inconsistent with what's been done in historical years.
Thank you. Alderman Thorpe?
I think Alderman Huntley had his hand up first, but
The director said it much kinder than I was going to.
now I'm ready. I just didn't want to jump in front of him. I think we have two potential violations with this discussion. One is we said no more amendments on the floor. And two, if we do walk down this path, we are literally here for days, because that would allow everybody to come up with additional unbounded amendments. So I think we as a council have a decision, you or the mayor has a decision, that are we going to stick to our process, or do we find the process flawed, in which case we should change the process at the very moment. I would encourage us not, that this does not meet that threshold to change the process, nor to violate the finance director's recommendations from the very beginning.
I just want to emphatically support when we have a finance director and a city manager and deputy city manager that have a view of what our available funds are, that we should trust them and believe them and act accordingly. All right, not seeing any discussion. All those in favor of Alderman Savage's motion, please say aye. All those opposed, say no. No?
No.
The motion does not carry. Motion fails. All right, and back to Alderman Schandelmeyer's original motion to approve the Finance Committee's recommendations as amended by Alderwoman Conti's and Alderman Smith-Brown's amendments on the table. All those in favor of that passing, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And we're done with grants. Home stretch. Capital pay-fors and then capital. And worth checking in just on the key summary, what those add up to. That's in columns G and H.
I don't think it's going to be helpful.
No, it's not going to be helpful. So we'll just go back to capital pay-fors. All right, we have L2. This is the city facility roof replacement, reducing bonds because we got grants. Someone like to move this motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Row 6, ID T-3, fire station remodel. Anyone like to raise this?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? City manager or fire chief wish to speak to this? You don't have to say yes. This is the reducing bonds, and it's really a misnomer. I don't think, we're not reducing their bonds, we're changing the years that the bonds fall in, so it's worth clarifying that, and that's what you were going to say. All right, everyone follow that? All right, so we're just moving the money to out years to free up bond money sooner. Any further discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of T3, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Row 7, P-FC-N-11. Anyone wish to make this motion?
I don't, yeah, this is one I brought up. I think it could be worthwhile, or it might mess something up, and I don't necessarily feel comfortable moving it without getting some land from the director of central services or maybe the city manager. The intention is to say there's $180,000 or $200,000 for redoing fire station floors. It seems to me like maybe we could reduce that by a third, since we know we're going to redo one of the fire stations very soon. but honestly, I wasn't totally sure, and I'd like to hear staff input. So if we have some staff who can weigh in, I'd like to move it. If we don't, I'm willing to withdraw it.
Any staff speaking up in support of reducing this amount of money? That's the question, right? You're asking if there's a justification for reducing this amount of
Was
money.
it seconded?
I'm sorry?
Was it seconded?
I can't hear you.
Was it seconded?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if it was.
It was not. I was sort of debating whether or not to make the motion.
Okay, so we don't have a motion on the floor. We're just looking for input from Chief O'Malley on whether there's justification of removing $60,000 from the fire station floor redo in light of having the fire station remodels in some form of progress.
Doug O'Malley, Fire Chief. I actually need to defer this to the Central Services Director because they know more about that funding. What I can tell you is that even though there's money in the budget to look at redoing or renovating fire stations, I don't know that that's going to occur anytime soon. And the flooring in at least one of the stations, the risk manager has concerns about because of the grip on the flooring is peeling up. There's some trip hazards and some concerns there. So overall, by reducing it $60,000, I'm not sure what the price is, where that stands with that.
Marilyn, I'd like to not move this, and if we can always change it later, after we pass the budget.
Okay.
And I'll say the same thing for H4.
Thank you. Okay, and that leaves us with S3. Alderman Savage, is that something you're still recommending?
Oh, I think this would be best to have a chat about outside the immediate budget process, so I'm not moving that.
Okay, thank you. Are we considering H4 and S3 withdrawn then? That H4?
H4, yes, withdrawn.
H4 is withdrawn, and so is S3 withdrawn?
Yes, that's 3 withdrawn. That's what you asked about, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I heard you accurately. All right, that takes us to S1, the sewer fund balance. Is that something you'd still?
No, I was told that this is going to be, it's already covered apparently in the sewer maintenance, I forget the name, maintenance fund. It's already, so it's not needed.
Okay, so that's withdrawn as
So
well?
withdrawn, yeah.
Okay. Before we move on to the capital spending, I'd ask for a motion to continue the council's business past 11 p.m., hour 13. So moved. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. We are about now the amount of time that I was in mediation on a week ago Tuesday.
Successful end.
Anyway, moving on to the capital tab. And I guess here is when we should look at the key and summary now that we've passed the pay-fors. And so we have funding sources of 1.8 million going into the spending of capital. All right.
Mayor Littman.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move as a block amendment T3, T2, L3, FC1, H1, T5, and T1.
Okay, let's just give everyone a second to digest that.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, also T5, if I didn't say that, Ms. City Clerk.
Yeah, so we, rows 5 through 11, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, everyone on the same page? That's the motion. Has it been seconded? Is that, you did? Okay. Any discussion?
I can justify it briefly. Just, I think this was broadly in line with the Finance Committee's recommendations to make the budget a little bit more external facing. These are pretty much all these general funding projects, these ones that are ongoing. We've talked with Public Works about their ability to spend them for the most part. I think this is a good way that we can show residents how their tax dollars are being spent.
Thank you. All those, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I just want to give Finance a chance to mark them as passed and then look at the updated keys summary. Okay, so that still leaves us about, that was about $1 million roughly, leaving us 872. All right, next is L1, about Northwest Street Park. Is there a motion to move? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. This is more from the administration rather than me personally. Director Buckland, can you just quickly walk us through this?
I actually cannot.
It looks like we didn't get a grant for 50,000, so looks like we're continuing the project, but with bond funding instead of that grant.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Is that accurate, what I just said?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so anyone need further discussion on this? Moving from grant to bond. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any noes? Motion carries. Thank you. Alderman Thorpe, are you bringing up T6?
Yep, so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Can you explain it, please?
I mean, this is money just for the design of the playground/park. It's become an eyesore, and there are potential donors that will pay to contribute to cleaning it up, but we need to get a design to figure out what it's going to cost, which we would pursue in the FY28 budget.
Okay. So what does the 50,000 get us?
Design of what needs to be done with the playground park area.
This was that park that on our ward walk that you pointed out, correct?
I'm sorry?
This was the park that you pointed out on our ward walk.
Yeah, Turner Park on the corner of 3rd and Chester.
Sounds like a great opportunity, the fact that we have a philanthropist willing to put the money towards it once we get it designed and planned. All those in favor, or any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of T6, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Alderman Huntley, I think you're up with H4.
Yes. So I'm going to preface this by saying I don't think that we should necessarily aim to spend all, whatever, we had $1.8 million, I think, available, because what we were doing was pushing money back. That said, let me just put it this way. I've put heck of a lot of hours into this budget. I did not ask for lots of different enhancements. This is one that is very important to me. I would say it is one of my top priorities. We have on one side of the street a big community of people who are retired, and on the other side of the street is all their orthopedists. And you have all of these people hobbling across the street, and there are very fast cars going. And I have been trying to get this project done practically since I started on the council, and it is the one thing that I am directly asking for. And I really do think that if we don't fund it, I worry that someone is going to get hit and killed here. So that's my
Any further discussion, Alderman Schneidermeyer?
People ignore this crosswalk a lot. Just vote in favor of this.
I just want to pile on to the comment that these are projects that the residents are going to see firsthand, and you know, we blew through those first ones for reasons that all made sense, but what we really need to draw attention to is these are projects that are going to make a difference for our residents, and I applaud Alderman Huntley's passion for this capital project.
Well, I am going to vote for this project. I do not want to see it move above my 3 projects that were passed in FY24, that all were pedestrian activated crosswalk signals in various parts of the place. So I'll pass it, but it's going to move behind those, so it'll be FY29.
Very fair. I will say that I copied the text of Alderwoman O'Neill's capital improvements, except I made one edit that yours said, with concurrence from the Federal Highway Administration. And I said, whether we got it or we don't have concurrence, I want it to get this done. So,
all those in favor of H4, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Alderman Huntley. Alderman Smith-Brown, do you want to take the next 3, either individually or collectively?
Sure. Starting with SB1.
Make the motion first.
Yes, I move to go with SB-1, the Poplar Avenue Safety and Infrastructure.
Okay, is there a second? Did I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So off of Poplar Avenue, leading up to Wendell Avenue, off of Admiral Drive is the intersection from Poplar up to the intersection where Wendell is. If you go down there, you will see this is a community, a mixed community, elders, young persons, African-American, Hispanic, and sprinkles of white. But it's also right next to Germantown Elementary School. This is a walkable area here, and it's not necessarily considered as such. You have pedestrian signage that have been ripped off of or taken off, whatever you want to call it, broken off of their poles. You have, many of them have been damaged, and whether it's dirt or spray all over a couple of the signs. You have the medians, which are broken and also damaged. You have street pavings as well as crosswalk area that needs to be repaved and redone. This being that it is in an elementary school range, many families walk there to take their children to school, as well as it being a church right there at Second Baptist Church. This is an important area for us to invest into, and although the cost is $125,000, the prayer is that we don't have to spend that much, that there may be grants outside of this that we could find, seeing that this is in a school area.
Discussion? Alderman Huntley?
Yeah, like I said before, I think we should not necessarily pass every single one of these amendments. We didn't just create $1.7 million. We pushed it back a year. And so while I think we did that with good reason, we do have to spend that money eventually. And which means it's going to get added to our debt capacity, which means these are not totally offsets. So my ask to Alderman Smith-Brown is to let us know which of these is his top priority. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it does seem to me that SB 1 could be funded out of our existing traffic safety CIP, or even our complete streets CIP, or our, we have like 4 other general CIPs that I think could potentially fund this. So that's, I would like to know from the Alderman which of these 3 is his top priority. And my sense is that since this one, there are other places it could be funded out of, it's maybe not the best one to be the top priority.
Well, are there other areas that this could be funded out of? And if so, could we get a clarification on that before we just say, go ahead and take that out? Because, each one of these amendments actually serves different parts of my ward. And so to say that there's one that's more important than the other, I cannot do that. I represent all of Ward 3, 5,000 plus residents, and I brought these forth based off of their input to me and their encouragement. So I'm not going to sit here and say to remove any of these before I stand up for my residents.
I'll see if I can get an answer from Burr.
Buckland, do you think you'll have that in a few minutes? Do you need discussion, or do you want it tabled?
If you can table it for just a minute, I'll see if I can get an answer, but,
We can use capital reserve funding for it.
No.
We can use capital reserve funding for it instead of bond funding.
Just to be clear, what I meant was that there are other general CIPs that this could be done with, right? We're talking about traffic calming, which is the traffic safety CIP. We're talking about signage replacement, which is the, there is a signals, a general signals CIP. I'm not sure I know about safety island reconstruction. I suppose that would also be the traffic safety CIP. So I'm not trying to be like the Grinch here, but I think we should not spend all $1.7 million. And I think this is one that could be funded out of other pots.
I absolutely agree with Alderman Huntley's sentiment about not spending it all. Having said that, I've spent a significant amount of time with the Director of Public Works, and I think we need to make sure we're clear that Director Vogel has the money in each one of those funds that we've talked about designated for a project that one of us have discussed with him. So I think we've got to be careful when we say that this money that could come out of one of those funds. It could, but it might not. And if it does, somebody like me or you might come screaming at Alderman Smith Brown and go, you took the money out of Ward 1. And so one of the ways, I think, to be fully transparent and open with this proposal on the table is to approve it, and which would solidify that this project would get done, as compared to leaving it to Director Vogel to prioritize the projects. And it may or may not get done, and some other project may or may not get done.
I take your point. I think there's a benefit to having the director prioritize some, right? There is a benefit to having public safety staff who say, this is what is going to be most impactful with the dollars. Or even to Alderwoman O'Neill's point, like, this is something we've been trying to do for 5 years. And there are also times, just like with the community grants, where we want to, so we say that process is not working and we need to go by another process. I have suggested that the thing at Amos Garrett go into that traffic safety CIP. I've been suggesting it for 1.5 years now, and it's no closer to getting done. But what I am not a fan of is the idea that we're not even going to try that route and instead jump ahead.
If I may, Mayor, I think.
Alderman Smith Brown?
Thank you. I completely understand, though, if you really want to talk about it, you have $125,000 going to brick sidewalks, which we have barely any in Ward 3, if at all. So that's mainly Ward 1. You have a project that just went to pedestrian activated crosswalk, $86,000 going to Ward 1. That is over $200,000. This is 3 amendments going across my ward for $205,000, where historically we have not been invested into. So to think that we are tapping into a $1.7, $1.8 million and $205,000 is such a dent is absolutely ridiculous.
It's not $1.8 million of free money, as I keep saying.
I'm not going to recognize you. We've heard it back and forth. I'm moving on to a vote, unless there's anything new. Director Buckland, do you have any response?
I don't have an answer from Director Vogel, and I think to the point raised earlier, I don't want to simply assume that this is or is not there. If this is something that council would like to see there, I would prefer that simply be explicit. We can always come back later if it can be rolled in, but I'd rather have that direction rather than just assume in the absence of me knowing an answer.
So just to make sure I'm hearing the advice is to, if we're proceeding with this at all, that just to leave it the way it is. Vote for it up or down, as stated. Okay, let's take that vote on SB1. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Alderman Smith Brown, do you want to raise number 2?
Sure, thank you. We have Bywater Road Resilience Park. This is in partnership with the the Oxford Landing Homeowners Association. They have a parcel of land which is off of Bywater Road and Forest Drive, which has been highly I don't want to say infested or infiltrated, but oh, bless you. Which has been heavily populated by encampment for many of months, and this area has been invested into for Greenscape, which I've been one of the leaders there. Though it's coming to a point where we have to have some really intense work. And so by turning this into a park, not only are we converting this into a more welcoming and greener, cleaner space, but we are allowing for our children and our families who often walk through this area to feel more comfortable walking there. I've gotten many concerns of seeing just to be direct about it, sexual and drug activity in that wooded area at nighttime. I've seen some very concerning acts as well in that area. And so if our city can invest some monies into the space of cleanup, I believe that this would maybe help support that.
Okay, any further discussion? Alderman Huntley?
One of my big concerns with this new process has been that it disincentivizes people from coming up with offsets.
Sorry, Alderman Huntley, was there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Huntley for discussion?
One of my big concerns with our new process, as much as I do think it's better overall, has been that it disincentivizes people to come up with offsets. And I have just sort of moved past that and said, you know, what is good for the group is good for the city. But I think if we just go through and fund everything without offsets being identified, then we're just encouraging that. And what we're going to see next year is a bunch of bond-funded projects getting submitted in everybody's ward without any offsets. And then we're going to be like, oh my God, how do we fund all of them? And we're going to push something else off a year. And so I really think it was very reasonable to just say, which one of these is the top priority? And if Poplar Avenue was the top priority, and that's been funded, then okay. But my worry is that if we go through and fund all three of these, next year, everybody's going to submit hundreds of thousands of dollars without any offsets identified. And I think that would be a real shame.
Thank you. I just want to add the predicate for being in this situation is the initial decision by the council to push off $1.7 million into future years for funding. And I think that's one of your points is we can't keep pushing off funding of these capital projects that aren't sexy and attractive, but we need to, if we want to have firefighters, we need to give them facilities they can operate in. And so to your point, I hope we don't continue to do that next year.
I hope so too. And I think exercising some restraint now would discourage people from trying to do that next year.
Any further discussion? Alderman Thorpe?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Alderman Huntley. This is $80,000. And to our point earlier, it makes a difference. It makes a difference for a part of Annapolis that needs it. We've heard it. And while I think we need to address the future to ensure that the lesson for the 9 of us or 8 of us isn't to, add a bunch of capital improvement projects next year, I don't think this, I think this is a wise use of money for the purposes as expressed by Alderman Smith Brown, and I think we should go ahead and approve it.
I want to clarify, you said 80,000, but this is 50,000.
And the next one's another 30.
Okay, that's very good. Alderman Smith Brown?
Yes, and I appreciate and agree too with this idea and sentiment that we should be more intentional in preparation of this. This is our first budget together, and there's been a lot of learning for all of us in this process. And I think going through this together, however intense it may be and anxious it may feel, it is going to be better next year. I mean, that is the prayer. That is the, we're going to work to do that. And so, when we decided to put forth these amendments, maybe not having a pay for or an offset wasn't initially done. We'll have over a year as we have these budget conversations to think of where we can pull money from. So, I don't think we should get so stuck and bent on these this idea when there's room in areas for growth, which we are going to excel to get to.
We'll point out next Monday, we're going to have a new report from Davenport, right, to reflect the updated expected spending. And I think we should trust our experts when they tell us what we can afford and what we can't afford. So use that report wisely, I think. Alderman Savage?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I mean, as far as finding pay-fors, I mean, that's a new practice. We've never done it. And we've always gotten good reports from Davenport. It's nice to do, but I think we need to keep our eye on the prize as far as equity amongst wards. You've had, Ward 1's been very generous to have you as a rep. You've got a lot for brick sidewalks, but we need to be saying, look at the equity and not just if you found to pay for or not.
Thank you for that, Alderman.
I think we're ready to call a question.
Can I just respond to that one point?
Sure.
Every one of you walks on the brick sidewalks. I don't think this, I hate this idea that which ward the money gets spent in is at all reflective of which ward the money benefits. That's wrong. Every one of you walks on those brick sidewalks outside of City Hall. If any of us trip, it's going to be on all of us. So spending that money is to everyone's benefit. It is to the benefit of reducing the liabilities on our self-insurance fund. If we want to talk about equity, we should talk about impacts. What's being suggested is we talk about equality, where everybody gets the exact same regardless of their needs and regardless of its impacts. If you want to talk about equity, it's about how do the projects affect different people. So I really object to that idea.
Let's go get a vote. Who's in favor of SB2, say aye. If you're in favor of it, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay, the motion carries. Alderman Smith-Brown, would you like to introduce number 3?
Sure, this is the last one.
Just make the motion first.
Yes, I move SB-3.
Thank you. And discussion?
Sure, so what a process this has been. So this is the final one, encouraged by my residents in the parole area. They used to have a tennis court. They no longer have a tennis court, supposedly. There is a resident, Millicent Hartwell, who has invested his time and expertise into training our youth, and he even went as far as building 2 tennis courts on his property. I remember growing up and my grandparents actually taking me over there and seeing that on his field that he has. His concern is that you can travel to other parts of the city and our children don't necessarily have access to travel to those areas to have access to a tennis court. And he spoke at our town hall, and one that I know, Mayor Littman, you heard his grave concern for this and his encouragement. This is $30,000 to just look into a pre-construction and maybe a site selection. This isn't the full out project. So I think that this is money well spent here for increased recreation.
Okay. Any other discussion? Alderman Huntley?
I told Alderman Smith-Brown I would support one of his top priority. So it wouldn't pick one, but so I'll pick the cheapest one. But to be consistent, I will support this.
Appreciate that, brother.
All right, any other discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed?
No, I said aye.
Okay, I didn't hear. Very good. Motion carries. So then we have S2. Alderman Savage, are you moving S2?
We are waiting on some confirmations, so no. This will probably be a mid-fiscal year.
Okay. I'd like to just share comments on the diesel hybrid ferry, not to promote a amendment, because I think I'm hearing you just want this withdrawn, but I just don't know that I've had a chance to update the rest of the council with where we are with this, as I understand it. Happy to have city manager add in if I miss anything important. So this was a close to $3 million grant that the city had applied for prior to my time. When it came to me in early months, it was the grant's been approved and it needs your signature to accept it. I still had a number of questions about it, such as what's the business case for it? Where are the various locations of the ferry going to be? What's the cost of putting them there? Who's going to operate it? Who's going to charge it? Who's going to be responsible for maintenance? Are these going to be free or not? Those questions have not all been answered yet, but in order to not lose the federal grant, I was on a deadline to sign it. So I signed it, but with clear instructions to the city manager's team not to spend any of the money on it, because we can still return it as long as we don't spend money on it. And so that's the status of the federal grant. It's been formally accepted, but with the very big caveat highlighting, don't spend any of the money until we get answers from the city administration that this council could have some input on if there are any pieces of that come before the council. In just the past week or so, what's been presented is that although the initial understanding was the local match could be in kind, essentially, staff time and other projects that are already undergoing, that there might be a need for that local match to be cash. And that's where that $525,000 comes from. There's a lot of uncertainty about that and a lot of back and forth. We're going through MTA and FTA, And so we're looking for clarification on what that means. There's a lot of permutations. If it gets to the point where it needs a city match of cash of the 525, I don't sense that there is support for that, but it would be put to the council to see if that's accurate or not. If it's local in kind is sufficient, we have projects, so we don't need the 525, then that goes back to the original questions of who's responsible for this, is someone willing to do this for free or not for free, and to pursue that, the Deputy City Manager Guild was prepared to issue a request for information to see if there was a private operator willing to take 2 free ferries and build a case for where they should be and how to operate them. So I think that's essentially hit the highlights of where we're at on this. I think we're all on the same page. I don't think there's dispute, but it's a lot of details, and so I didn't want any misunderstanding.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman.
I have not heard back my 1 hour for parking behind church. Remember you gave?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't remember? Yeah.
So
I've seen it somewhere, but I don't see it here tonight.
Okay, so let me get to that in a second. Any questions on the electric diesel ferry before I move on?
Just to clarify, because I think
We'll come back. I'm not ignoring, just want to finish this conversation first, then we'll take up your
I'm
question.
sorry.
That's okay.
It was just, I didn't want to forget.
I think the question's going to be asked. So as of right now, the diesel electric ferry has not been approved by the city of Annapolis, by the mayor
Yes.
of the city of
Not
Annapolis.
approved using those funds and moving forward. You're welcome. Anything else on the ferry? Okay. Alderwoman Alsip Johnson, you were asking about a change to transportation rates.
Yeah, for the
and
lot, what's that?
The Larkin lot, I
Larkin
believe.
lot, yes.
And the last I spoke to Director Moore on that was essentially our transportation department wants to give us some options for how to best use that lot, and either maximizing the full day users who are currently using it, or there's at least one person in his department who wants to have it be more transitional, short-term use, which would generate more funds. As part of that discussion, they are considering your request to extend Sunday hours from 2 to 3 p.m. You're welcome.
I'm easy to get along with.
All right.
Don't we know it?
So I think we are ready to do the wrap-up.
Mr. Mayor?
Kind of back and forth. Am I forgetting anything?
Before we
How about
finish,
the other one?
as we concluded the capital budget, and I think I stand with Alderman Huntley on this, we have $480,337 of savings in the budget. And I would like to discuss, in the capital budget, I would like to discuss what we do with that, because that is such a significant amount of money as compared to the previous one. Do we need a motion to move that? Well, I mean, I guess it's not,
Yeah, we're just choosing not to spend it. It just reduces our borrowing, essentially. Okay, right?
I'm good with that, if everybody's good with that.
I'm getting head nods where I need to see head nods from.
So I think to put a finer point on it, that the 2026 City Council, looking at the 2027 budget together, the 9 members of the City Council found $480,000 to not spend. And I think that is a significant, to Alderman Huntley's pounding the table quite a bit, and to everybody has worked so hard till 11:24. Kudos to this team for identifying those savings moving forward.
Thank you, Alderman. Before we move on, Alderman Savage, our city clerk just wanted to confirm you were withdrawing S1 and S2. That was on the capital page. I'm pretty sure that's where we were. She had some confusion. Okay. Alderman Huntley?
I was going to say something for the good of the order whenever you're done.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Mayor Lippman.
I gotta do what we are, is there a motion to amend? 0826.
Mayor Lippman, I'm sorry.
Yes.
To interrupt you.
Please do.
We just need to get some clarification points as the budget team before
Yes.
we can finalize the capital budget.
Okay.
There are a few items that we've highlighted in yellow here.
Yes.
where we've had them marked as TBD on funding sources. So whilst we identified 1.8, capital's a little bit more confusing, right? Because there are multiple funding sources. We've identified about $1.8 million of bonds, correct? Yeah, $1.8 million of bonds from the pay for side. One maybe could assume that we were then just using bond funding for all others, but we would like to just confirm where the source of the funding is, because there is opportunity to use capital reserve, there's opportunity to fund via PAYGO if there's extra cash available elsewhere. You know, we just want to make sure we have that discussion.
My assumption is that they were all bond funded from this discussion, and if the Resilience Authority, for instance, can find grant funding or any other sources besides bond money, it becomes available, that's what would be pursued. And if you need a amendment later in the year to shift from bond funding to those alternative sources, that you'd come to us with those alternative sources. Is that adequate for everybody?
Yeah, and I would just add, if we end up with more capital reserve, if we end up with the ability to use some of the capital reserve in a way that we don't currently think, then that would be a great way to fund those rather than bonds.
But just, I think one of the operative questions is going to be how much we have left until we hit the 12% cap. That's really shows you how much capital we've left.
Right, so we'll have, like I said, we're going to get a new Davenport report before Monday that will have these as considered as bond funding. Okay. All right, I'll move on. Is there a motion to amend 0826 on second reader?
Moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We will now postpone further action on 0826 until the regular meeting scheduled for Monday, June 8th, 2026. Mr. City Attorney, would you please present the next item on the agenda?
The agenda is completed.
All right, congratulations, everybody. And many, many, many extended thanks to all of the individuals in this room who are not elected officials who had to be here, but especially to our budget team and our city manager team, support staff, city clerk's office, and our intrepid reporter, Ms. Wilson. Thank you for being here. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Alderman Huntley.
You kind of just said it, but I was going to give a particular shout out to Ms. Turner, who has really stepped up to as a natural leader on the budget team, and for being here.
Thank you. Anything else? All right. There being no other items on the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? The meeting, they're hearing no opposition. The meeting is adjourned. Well done, team.